welcome to What I Tried, What I Learned, the podcast where I'm trying this out, so this is new, but the podcast about what I've learned as a business owner, as a late diagnosed neurodivergent adult. So I have autism, ADHD. But yeah, so this is just me sharing life lessons, just more focused like business, neurodivergent life. So this episode was inspired by something that happened just this week, this past week. So today is November 4th, 2024, when I'm recording this. And so last week I got an email from an Instagram friend. It's like Instagram business friend slash I did a coaching session with once. So she's doing a event that she's putting on, and she sent an email with the PDF information. And so when I looked at it on Friday, when my brain was ready to process this information, um, I read through it, and then my brain went into planning mode. And so basically, that's when I'll kind of brain dump everything I need to do, like list the task, and then schedule it for future me to do to actually execute, because it's easier for me to do the thing when it's already like step by step written out what to do. And I like to separate those for so like now me plans for future me. So future me is kind of like my own project manager, just told me what to do and I just followed it. Maybe that's ADHD, autism, I don't know. But it's been working. So on this day, Friday, I was looking for those details and noticed that I didn't know the due date for the event's deposit. So I emailed her and just asked that question, like, what day is the deposit due? And she answered back and said, told me the date. And she was like, good question. And so that was, Friday, Saturday. Come back to Monday, today. And again, planning mode, I realized I was missing another piece of information. Um, okay. And now I'm forgetting what it was. Oh, it was how to get the deposit to her. And I'm a bookkeeper, so like questions like this are kind of just normal for me because my brain is in that kind of mode of where the money is flowing, where it's coming from, where it's going to. So I asked that question, and she sent me a voice message on Instagram, basically saying like, "Thanks for asking all the questions because it's helping her like plan this." And I was just really happy, like because I do tend to have a lot of questions, and I used to feel either like couldn't ask, so I wouldn't, or would feel bad about asking, like I was bothering people. But now, like I've learned that it's professional to ask questions, especially if you can ask good questions. It helps both parties out. So it was just good to like have that extra like appreciation for it. And then B, it reminded me of back when I was interpreting, like how hard such a simple question could be. Like, how do I get paid? How do people send me money? Yeah, so it just reminded me of that. And so I decided to just make a podcast episode about it because probably not the only one. Um, so just to share what I learned back then and also what I know now, like as a bookkeeper, as a bookkeeping business owner who's helped other business owners like set up and streamline their bookkeeping. So, how do you get paid? So, when I was an interpreter, I went finished my degree in college and mostly went straight into working part-time at a community college as a staff interpreter, and I worked for a couple of agencies, but I didn't have to figure out how to get paid yet because the community college, it's like having just a normal like job. Like my first job was as a hostess in a restaurant, so they had direct deposit set up and went to my bank account. Everything was good and easy. So at the college, it was like that. And then for the agencies, they had their own invoicing system, and I was in their system, so it would just direct deposit to my bank account, just like the community college. So it wasn't until I want to say like a couple of years later that I had to figure out the whole how do people pay me when I worked for agencies that didn't have the invoicing system that I was in, or I had direct jobs, like just be like, let's say it's a doctor appointment, like their office would pay me directly and not an agency who paid me. So I had to tell them like how to pay me. And I remember how hard that was to figure out, but also it was so hard because it seemed really simple. Like it shouldn't be this hard to have people give me money, but it was. So this is me now taking what happened then and what I know now as a bookkeeper and just giving you some suggestions. And I like to prioritize like how fast is the money going to go into your account because your business needs cash to pay its bills, to pay you. And if the money takes a while to get into your account and you have like bills due, then you your business like it's not going to be happy. So you want that money in your account as soon as possible. So I have four options ranging from like the easiest, simplest to not as simple, at least at first. And so let's just start with number one. So number one is cash, getting paid with cash. Simple. They just hand you the cash and then you go deposit in your bank account. No fees, no processing fees. So that's a pro. A con for me is that you have to go deposit in your bank account um, because most of us don't really use cash, but also if you get paid a large amount, then you will want to put that in your bank account. That way you can, from then, either send it to your personal account because you should have a separate business and personal account. Remember, keep them separate. Good bookkeeping, like just basic 101, have a separate business account from your personal account. So you want to deposit that into the business account. And so that's a con. It's not great because let's say you got paid on a Monday. Ideally, you would want to just go deposit that at the bank right away, but that's not going to happen usually. You might have other jobs, other things you have to do. You've got a schedule. So you might, maybe best case scenario, go the next day and deposit it. But that means that's a 1 day delay to get money in your account. Now, the other con is you'll have to coordinate with the whoever's paying you to get you that cash, and so that might take a while. So that's another delay getting the money into your account. So um, those are the pros and cons. So second option is getting paid by check, and this one's pretty similar to cash. Pro, you don't pay a fee for getting a check, and you can deposit that in your bank yourself. Also, there is mobile deposit, like if your bank has an app. So that's pretty easy. Uh, Cons, same thing. You have to wait for them to either send you the check or give you the check, so that's a delay. And then depositing it to your bank, if you go in person, there's another delay. Now, if you use a mobile deposit on your banking app, then that can be almost instantaneous too. Like you just follow the instructions and it's in your bank account. If you're getting a ton of checks, then mobile deposit is really helpful. Okay, so cash check. Third one is like a I have a hard time like grouping these together, but I'm gonna just call it payment processors like apps like Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, and technically Zelle is more like checking account to checking account transfer, I guess, and Venmo is more like that too. Um, but since they keep adding features onto apps, they're kind of pretty similar. We use them similarly to like send or receive money. So I'm just grouping them together. But you can use those, and the pro is it's pretty easy to get an account. Most people have one, so they can pay you with it. It's fast. Like as soon as they send it, it will show up either in the app in their holding account, or maybe it goes directly to your bank account. And even if it shows up in the app account, you can just transfer that to your bank. And so you don't have to like go anywhere. So less of a delay to get paid and get the money in your account. Cons, depending on which one you're using and how, like what option to pay you is used, you might have to pay a fee. You might have to have several different accounts just so people have options to pay you because maybe you have Zelle, but they don't use Zelle. They use Cash App. So it's always a good idea to have more than one. So that's more accounts to keep up with because you want to make it as easy as possible to pay you. And then the other con, just from the bookkeeping side, but if you're doing your own books, you'll probably notice this. It can be hard to keep up with that many accounts because you'll have to like check your Venmo and PayPal, make sure you're not leaving money in there because you really want to transfer it all to your main business account. Also, with the thing that's true for cash checks and the payment processors, you need to manually check if you've been paid. Wherever you're keeping track of this, maybe a spreadsheet where you'll say like, oh, this invoice was sent on the 5th and they're supposed to pay me by the 5th of the next month. So you need to keep track of that and make sure you were paid on time. And if you weren't, then you need to like manually charge the late fee, which you should be charging late fees if you're not getting paid on time because you do have the right to do that. But you need to manually keep up with this, and that can be a lot of work. If you were like me, I would not, like before I was interpreting, I would not check on this regularly and sometimes go months without tracking just because it was a lot of work, which was not good. Don't do that. But yeah, so that's a big con for all three of those. So last option, this is an invoicing app, something like Wave, FreshBooks that has like a built-in invoicing feature, so you can create your invoice, send it. The person who receives it will get an email notifying them, here's your invoice. This is how you can pay it, and this is the cool part. Usually, like they can just click. Usually, it's like a button in the email, a link, and it'll show like options to pay you, credit card, debit, ACH, checking account, and then they can just pay right there. So it's like just less steps. They just open the email, click the link, enter the info, and boom, you're paid. And then you'll go directly into the bank account you told them you want to use. And yeah, and then the app will track if you got paid or not. If the invoice is late, you can set up automatic reminders. So it's just running in the background and you don't have to worry about it. So that's a really big pro for me. It's like it's get paid faster, less work on your end to make sure you get paid on time. And you can usually set up if they pay you late, it'll just automatically add the fee, which is really great too. Con, it can be a learning curve. I remember when I first started using Wave, like toward the end of my interpreting career, uh, and it took a little bit to learn. So I really only used it for invoicing at first, I think, and then slowly learned like the bookkeep how to use it for bookkeeping. But I just used it for invoicing to track invoices, make sure I got paid, and that was not too bad since I'd been doing it manually anyway. I could just apply the same principles to the app. Yeah, so that's a con, and I call it a con because some people might not want to go through the trouble of learning it. But if you want help with that, that's something I do. So I do help people set up their bookkeeping. So it's simple to do. I have it's what's called create a bookkeeping workflow, and so the link will be in the description. But you can click that. It goes to my calendar where you can book a call, a time for us to get together. And if you have like a specific question about bookkeeping workflow, that you can bring those. But I'll have questions just to get an idea of what you're already doing for your bookkeeping. What might be kind of like a tangle in your mind, like it's not clear. And then if you have, and then I'll ask questions to see like what you kind of want it to be like, or maybe you have a really fuzzy idea, so you don't have an answer for that, and that's totally fine. Like I get that. Sometimes I'm like that. I just want someone to help me, but then I I almost don't want to get help because I don't know how to. I have nothing to verbalize. I'm just like I know I need help. I if you ask me questions, I won't know how to answer. So sometimes I will avoid like hiring someone. So that's why I have questions. I'll walk you through the process, um, and then yeah, I'll help you set up the workflow so that you can do your books yourself. Like maybe you only want help with the invoicing part, so we'll just focus on the invoicing. But yeah, so something I love helping people with. Um, Others have told me I'm good at making something complicated simpler. And yeah, just love to help out with that. Okay, so let me go back to, yeah, so there is a learning curve with invoicing apps. But yeah, so those are the four options: cash, check, payment processors, and invoicing app. So that's really all I wanted to share today. Just how do you get paid? Why is that such a hard question? And options on ways to get paid for your services when you're a freelancer, small business owner, you're just starting out. Yeah. So hopefully this was helpful episode, and I'll see you around for the next one.